It's live.
All right. What's going on, guys? It's Nathan. Welcome to episode 9 of Hyperspace Hype. We got a lot of topics, a lot of stuff dropped this week in Star Wars. We're entering a whole new era of the universe. Super excited, but before we jump into all that, we're going to introduce our host and other guests. We got Carson today, as always.
Welcome to the High Republic, y'all. I am so excited to be talking everything Project Luminous, of course, a new episode of Clone Wars. And like Nathan said, it's truly a new and glorious era for Star Wars, now that we're past the Skywalker saga. So let's talk about all these things.
Awesome. Also, we got Brandon joining us.
Hey, guys. I'm currently change of scenery. I'm at my girlfriend's house tonight, and Nathan's like, oh, yeah, let's do Hyperspace Live. I'm like, oh, okay. So, yeah, change of scenery, but still come at you with the good content. But, yeah, I'm happy to be on board.
Excellent. Also joining us, as always, Evan.
Hey guys, what's up? I'm super hyped for the new episode of Hyperspace Hype. I literally just finished the Clone Wars. It's literally staring at me right now. The credits are. And I'm very excited for the High Republic. Project Luminous has finally been revealed. It feels like they've been teasing this for like over 2 years or something now, but it's only been like a year or so. But yeah, I'm very excited to get into the High Republic and all those things going on at Disney too.
All right, so we're going to kick off talking about Season 7, Episode 2, A Distant Echo for the Clone Wars. What a step up from Episode 1, I felt.
He lives.
He lives. I mean, spoilers. I mean, if you haven't seen the newest episode, it's up on Disney Plus, obviously. Go watch it, then come back. This will be up on Nathan's channel. Then you guys can watch this episode of the podcast. But yeah, the ending reveal. We were speculating last week of like what state he would be in, and it kind of as soon as he gets out of the stasis chamber, I think they call it, he seems to gain at least some form of consciousness. Do you guys see like his legs? Like,
yeah,
a lot of stuff going on there.
Kind of like
yeah.
I mean, but his arm was off too.
Oh, really? Was it?
His right arm is gone. I watched the unfinished animation and the regular version, but his arm is gone, both of them.
This Tragic. Man is Keanu Reeves in The Matrix. It's nuts. It's terrifying, honestly, when you like see what he's become.
It was very terrifying. Yeah, it was very dark. Like, I'm surprised they went that dark with it too. Like, he had all those lost memories, especially when he like, I'm at the Citadel. Like, his memories are still messed up. Like, it got me very emotional. I was very surprised by it all.
Yeah, it's nuts.
See, because it makes me think, because he right after he gets unplugged and everything, he goes right to saying, "No, I gotta get to the transport." It makes you think he's been on under their brainwash control since the ship blew up in the Citadel.
Yeah, which is all the more saddening. It's like. And you don't know what's going to happen necessarily when they, the episode ends. It's like, what happens when they unplug him from this machine? Like, we don't know, if he's going to just like deteriorate rapidly or, not be able to even function. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, that's a good point. Do we think he's going to survive this? Is he going to survive this season? I don't think he is.
I don't think he is either.
It's just still so dark. Like, they're doing 2 episodes in a row now where it's just focused on them trying to save Echo. So they found him, they saved him, but is he going to survive now?
Well, I just made a theory on the spot. What if in trying to preserve Echo's life, Rex needs to like aid him biologically in some form of a surgery fashion that could lead to the disabling of Rex's inhibitor chip?
Oh, snap.
Yeah, it could be interesting. I don't know. Rex was probably the standout for me in this episode.
Me too.
Kind of moving into that, I love the emotional kind of back and forth between the Bad Batch and Rex in terms of, Rex like having all this hope that Echo's alive, and the Bad Batch and by extension Anakin leading them into this mission of like, hey, this could be like any other separatist thing. Nothing at the end of the rainbow, It could be just another trap. And I love the moment when they're like up scouting down, I think, and Anakin's like, I need a moment to talk to Rex. And then the Bad Batch goes and scouts out. I love that little scene And to me, it was like those little Rex moments and Rex and Anakin moments in this episode that really stood out.
Speaking of Rex and Anakin moments, I love how Rex knows about Anakin and Padme. He's like,
perfect.
But that's what's funny. It's like he's covering for him, and then they're walking away, and Obi-Wan's like, "Oh yeah, I know what you're up to."
Yeah, can we talk about that line?
It's crazy.
It's like Obi-Wan's like, "Oh, say hi to Senator Amidala." I'm like,
yeah,
Obi-Wan.
So he knows. He definitely knows, right?
Which is like adds a whole lot of layers to Revenge of the Sith in a way, because it's like he's probably not assuming they're just friends. I don't know. Like,
I mean, even in Revenge of the Sith, he goes straight to Padme's house when crap hits the fan.
Right.
So like he kind of knows, really.
Right. So he's kind of ambivalent towards the whole thing. He's kind of just like he's stuck in the middle, which makes even more of an interesting thing for Obi-Wan, because it's like he has all this respect of the council, but also he has so much, honestly, attachment to Anakin. Which is so ironic, you know?
Totally. And it is. I think this is happening, especially having just rewatched the Clone Wars after Satine's death. I think Obi-Wan has a new perspective on these kind of attachments. He really sympathized with Anakin. At least his girlfriend's still alive, not like Satine. So I think he's really giving her some time, or giving Anakin some time to like relish this attachment.
That's why I love the Clone Wars. Yeah.
I said the exact same thing in my reaction I did this morning for episode 2. I was just
sweet.
The whole Satine thing's gotta have Obi-Wan just like full new perspective.
Yes,
it's so good. That was probably my favorite scene, just because I love the Anakin Padme relationship, and Obi-Wan being in the mix as well is always great. But also, the added layer that Rex knows too is just so beautiful. Carson said in chat earlier, we were bamboozled in our theory.
Yeah, the hologram, man.
Yikes.
If I go looking at her stomach the entire time, I'm like, they just I don't know. I want to look back. I want to look back at the trailer shot. Like, I'm interested.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean, continue.
So speaking of Padme stuff, I noticed like the unfinished animation. There's a scene they cut out. Like, I'm fine when they cut it out, but there's a scene where the Bad Batch, like, because that entire hologram scene is not in the old version, but they had a version where Padme is nose art on the gunship. It's like, have you like the kind of like the sexy girls things they did for World War II on like the front of the plane. They did that with Padme, and Anakin talks to Bad Batch. They're like, what is that? They're like, oh, she's a senator from Naboo. Gives the guys motivation, and Anakin looks to Rex and is like, that is not staying on there.
Yeah, that's really weird. I'm glad that was cut.
Yeah.
But yeah, for the whole Padme scene, there was either two options here. So the first option was like, okay, this is taking place during Revenge of the Sith. This is before we saw the episode 2. Or the second option was like, either Anakin's just stupid, and that's what it turned out to be, because like she looks really pregnant in the hologram. Like,
I don't think she does.
You don't think so?
Yeah, she does.
Compared to the trailer that they had, she actually was pregnant. But
I think even in this episode, she still looks pretty pregnant. And this is only a couple months before Revenge of the Sith. Like I think like a month or two.
I noticed her hands on her stomach a lot. So
yeah, and maybe that's why we're so.
Maybe she didn't look very pregnant to me, but like she'd probably be like on the cusp of starting to look it.
Yeah, she was like 3 months in, maybe. I'm not sure. I don't.
We'd have to like dissect the timeline a little bit, but
yeah, getting too deep there.
Right.
But yeah, it was a great scene for Anakin. I just love that whole emotional beat about him being like a partner to Rex. Like Rex is always beside him, and just having just watched 6 seasons of the Clone Wars, really you feel that camaraderie between Anakin and Rex. They're always beside each other. Totally, yeah, exactly.
That's why I was saying before, like I love how the Clone Wars gave George, in a sense, a chance to flesh out, honestly, both the flaws of the Jedi in a way and of the war, because you see, Anakin's arc throughout this whole thing, and you see, how the clones are treated specifically, and you just get a whole new perspective on what this war meant for the galaxy, and just knowing ultimately who's behind the scene. It's just there's so many little details of pulling the strings and the clones, and it's just so perfect. One of my favorite Star Wars shows for sure.
Absolutely.
For sure.
There was another one take action sequence.
Yes.
Oh, was there? I missed it, or I didn't pay
Oh
attention.
yeah. It was
when they got
it was in the hallway, right? In the
outside the elevator before they opened it. Yeah, the like all the droids are surrounding them, and then Anakin comes from the back, and then like the whole
okay. After we
Can we
watched
talk
that,
about
then.
those droids?
yeah,
They're so cool
Those
design.
are weird. Yeah.
they still had the normal battle droid voice, which I was like, those are still droids.
Yeah,
But-
that was also in like the unfinished animation, so like that was nothing new. But it like those droids looked amazing though. Like they looked like it looked like a Super Battle Droid 3.0.
Could they be like specific? Who's the guy in charge of that station there? I forget. I'm blanking on his
Watt
name.
Tambor.
Could they be like? Could they be
Everyone
his
know the name.
personal squad of guards or something? Or
Maybe. Yeah.
I mean,
that's
there was
possible.
actually a lot of them, but I don't know.
Yeah. But did they look weaker to you guys? They looked like very much weaker than normal droids.
They're
They looked
very
like they
thin.
looked more nimble. They looked like kind of just like looser and like I don't know.
Maybe-
These guys are like supposed to be protecting Rex, who's giving all this important intel for the Separatists. You would think they would have like all these droid decos or super battle droids, but instead they have like these paper mache droids that are just
Right, and that's why I
easy to
think
kill.
episode 3 we're gonna run into some. Episode 3 is going to be the hard thing in the arc
the
because
darkness. Yeah.
because we have the scene in this episode where the one dude calls the station or whatever and is like, hey, they know about they know about Rex or whatever, and so like I feel like there's gonna be backup on the way, and maybe from both parties. You never know. I don't know who else the Jedi would send, but maybe Obi-Wan shows up. I'm not sure.
I don't know if the Jedi could send anybody, because didn't Obi-Wan say like, "Oh, the Jedi
Yeah, they were
Council might not
already-
agree with this"?
They were already
Yeah,
anxious about this mission.
Yeah, because they see it as like they're just wanting to save a clone, but Anakin and Rex and the rest of the guys, they see it like other than the Bad Batch. They're like, yeah, we need to save this guy, but on top of also stop this broadcast.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of that, like there's a whole confrontation between the Bad Batch and Rex about like saving the life of Echo, and the Bad Batch, especially Crosshair, was like, "Oh, it's just a reg. Like he could just be dead." They keep being so nonchalant about the lives of the regular troopers. I guess would they feel the same way if one of the Bad Batch gets killed, which I think is going to happen. I mean, I haven't seen the unfinished cuts. I don't know. I feel like one of the Bad Batch might get injured or killed. Then they might get a whole new perspective on like the lives that are at stake here.
Mm-hmm.
So especially Crosshair. I mean, I don't know. I could see Tech dying. I don't know. He's kind of like the weakest of the bunch, but Hunter maybe. I don't know. I just feel like anybody can drop of a hat or something on this show.
I'm curious if they're gonna get Echo back, and then the Separatists are just gonna be out of advantage at this point, so late in the war that they're like that's probably gonna be the cause for them to just like do a final Hail Mary and just raid Coruscant and kidnap the Chancellor.
That's a good way to set it up.
That's a good idea. Yeah. Palpatine is so smart at this point. Like he has everything under
7
control.
steps ahead, which is just like
Oh,
I'm
man.
sure I would love a scene of Palpatine just like sensing the perfect opportunities, like, okay, Grievous, I need you to go in. But like to himself, he's just like, this is gonna be the perfect opportunity to get Anakin to replace Dooku.
I would love a visual something on that. I don't know what he would be doing.
Yeah.
I would love like someone comes in and tells him something, and then all of a sudden we see him like scheming, and maybe he just like passes a message down the line or something. It spreads everywhere, and then all of a sudden you feel that effect of that change.
And Palpatine's like, it's time. Because that's what I've been wondering throughout the Clone Wars. Like, what is he waiting for? Like, the Jedi have gone down in public morale in terms of like people liking them on Coruscant.
Yeah.
He has control of the banks. We see that in season 6. He has control of the media. Like, this guy's in control of everything. What is he exactly waiting for? So I'm waiting for that moment. That's gonna be curious.
It's honestly I think he's waiting for Anakin.
Yeah.
In a way.
Okay. Like, did he predict the whole Padme child thing? That changes everything.
I don't know if he predicted that,
He knew.
but I
He knew
think
for sure.
I think he
Okay.
preys on that if he does know, or when indeed he does, when he finds out.
Yeah.
I'm pretty thinking of a Slim funny. It's like I feel like if it was still on Netflix, I feel like there'd be a scene. It's like, Anakin. You should have
I'm doing the same thing, Brandon. I'm like, it's top
Just like-
goading Anakin into having like relations with Padme. Like, yo, that'd be funny. Yeah, that could honestly be happening. Like one of those secret meetings. He's like, Anakin, I think it's time you and Padme got closer. Anakin's like, okay, cool, I'll do it. Yeah.
It's like, oh god.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. Visually, I love this episode
yeah.
more than the first. It's just the planet they're on with the reptiles that were flying around.
I love
people
that comedic
flying-
beat where it's like I can't remember who says it. It's like there's like some people here that are pretty peaceful, whatever, and then the tech is like, according to my calculations, they worship reptiles, and then it zooms down onto the ship. Reptiles.
I love that he says that and then like swoops and they're like, "What's that?" It's reptile.
It's a reptile. Yeah.
Speaking of the people riding the reptile, their voice is amazing. Like their language is awesome.
Yeah, very cool, and I
love
love the
seeing
translation scene.
translation.
Yep.
Yeah. That was so cool. And it's like watching him speak it like live, like that was cool.
Because I was thinking, I'm like, oh crap, they don't have 3PO, and then Tech is just like reading through his Glock. I'm like, okay, they got it.
I got this. Yeah, they're great, dude. Just trying to touch on more of the episode. And we basically did touch on all things.
The episode flew by. When it ended, I'm like, really already?
Yeah, it was a really fast-paced episode, even more
really
so than this week.
fast-paced, which is crazy because this episode had a lot more emotional beats than the first episode. Like, you had the whole Padme scene, you have the whole argument between Rex and the Bad Batch, and I'm like, wow, episode still went by so fast.
That's probably what I commend the episode more for is the emotional stuff. Whether it's you had some nice Anakin Padme moment, even the brief Obi-Wan stuff, which was hilarious. But like especially with Rex, like not just towards the Bad Batch, but also Anakin himself, like when they're one-on-one, and to Echo. It's probably some of the most personal stuff I've seen out of the show, from what I can remember doing the rewatch of the arcs. Because I found myself, I'm obviously invested in the arcs, but like the most arc I've ever been invested in was when Ahsoka was on the run for the and I was getting similar vibes to this, which is great because I remember after watching episode 1, I was like, cool start. Don't know how I'm going to feel about the arc, but now I'm so locked in. I can't wait to see what they got moving forward.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I feel like most of the Clone Wars arcs, especially the ones that are long, the ones that are like 4 episodes, those arcs usually start off with a big action scene, like specifically the Krell arc, the Krell, whatever his name was. But that episode started off with a lot of action, but then deeper on, he got to the whole argument between Rex and Krell and Fives and about like what is the morality of troopers, what are the humanity in troopers. So I think as the arc goes on, we're going to get deeper and deeper into like the mindsets of these characters. So excited.
And we can't forget the greatest arc, the Zillo Beast.
Oh yeah.
You know what's funny? In that arc, there's a scene where Padme, Anakin, Palpatine, and 3PO are all in this little transport, and the Zillo Beast has them, and then they're about to shoot it down, and Yoda's like, no, all these people are in there. I'm like, if you destroyed that ship, the galaxy would be completely fine right now.
Yoda was like, we need like 7 more movies. Don't shoot it. Oh man. Pretty good segue to speaking of different timelines and movies and such. We are entering a new
real quick, Nathan.
era.
Okay, so I just finished talking about the episode. I'm gonna bounce. So yeah, thank you guys for having me on though. It was great talking Clone Wars with you guys as always. Have fun, everyone, and I will talk to you guys later.
Peace out.
The Force be with you.
Yeah, the Force be with you guys. Good night.
Night.
And then there was 3. The rule of 3.
Which one of us is Dooku, man? Jeez.
I'm joking.
Anyway, we are entering a new era.
Yes.
It's huge. It's so huge. Everything they dropped. Title on screen. We are talking Project Luminous, the
Ooh.
High Republic era. There's so much.
So much content. I'm
Yeah.
getting filled right now just thinking about
And it's all books.
it.
So I don't even know where to start. First of all, I think we should just start with
Oh man.
High Republic in general. This
Yeah.
being the first kind of full detachment of since the Disney acquisition of, we're 200 years in the past, like open book, open slate. Obviously, we're going to see things, touch different things in Star Wars history in terms of like, we may see Yoda, we may see, how concepts of the Jedi come into play, and that's what's most exciting about this era for me is I love, in the little teaser video that we got of like they started with what are the Jedi afraid of, and that is such a good, especially just seeing how I'm assuming, and especially of all like the beginning of these books, how confident and sure the Jedi are going to be of themselves, and in the original, in the prequel era and stuff, we see the Jedi, probably more wary, I would say, and like doubting things, or like, oh, don't do this or don't do that, when they're teaching and bringing up people. But I think this era of Jedi is going to be a lot more sure of things because it's been so instilled in society, and to see kind of like quite literally these enemies like seeping into society like for the first time is so cool. And I love the description of and all the concept art of how they drew this as like a pre-production for a movie, and it's just it's such an exciting time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the main crisis they addressed, which I'm about to like really live up to the name of this podcast. The main crisis is a disruption in hyperspace.
Yes.
Like, I guess galaxy wide.
I guess so. We don't really know about it. Like, even at the press conference, they didn't reveal about like it being about hyperspace. You had to get that from the whole synopsis of the Light of the Jedi novel by Charles Soule. And it says like this guy's on a mission towards like the outer rim, and then hyperspace like kind of ejects him out or something. Like he gets knocked out of hyperspace.
That we get the description of like these enemies are going to be like Vikings, kind of like
the Nile, by the way.
The Nile. It makes me think they're going to be kind of ragtag, just like groups of them, Mad Max style, fleeing across the galaxy. And I think it'd be cool if like they're like throwing stuff into the hyperspace lanes or something, like you're literally clogging the hyperspace lanes or something, kind of like I think it's very going to be like ragtag and like not very established. It's going to be very random, like acts of violence by them at first, at least.
Yeah, I can see that being the case. But let's just soak that in for a second. Like these are the Nile. These are a group of new villains because we've grown up with droids, which are kind of like BS. They're not really a threat. They're just droids. And then stormtroopers who can't even aim. So like now we have the Nile, which are going to be new. They're not wearing the same uniform. They're all wearing different kind of uniforms, different kind of armor, different kind of weapons. And how are they going to combat the Jedi? Are they ready to combat the Jedi? Do they all have like vibro blades to deflect Jedi? So I can't really wait to see what's up with that. And then what is their whole mindset? Like they can't all be evil.
Right. And if they're like this, I think if Sith lore isn't already seeped into them in the first place, maybe it does eventually in phase
I didn't
2.
even think about that.
So I don't know if they're going to have the mind. This is something I don't know if they're going to have the mindset of maybe some of those ideals, or at least some of them are holding it, and maybe they're the leader of the groups, but they're not obviously not going to be Sith right away.
Mm-hmm.
But it's going to be interesting to see a dynamic of how they feel about the Jedi and how they feel about the galaxy in general. Why are they presumably disrupting hyperspace? Or maybe it's even, it would be really interesting if the conflict comes from galaxy expansion in terms of like they're just living their life and they have this tension with the galaxy, because the Jedi and stuff are this high point, and so they're moving out into all these systems trying to relay this kind of way of life onto people. And maybe these people are mad at the Jedi because they're just in the outer rim or wherever they're going to be, and they're just trying to like live by their principles.
Totally.
It'd be super. And if you think like back to like just to how like Palpatine's rise, it's totally like the Jedi are in kind of a position of spreading their way of life without even like knowing the consequence of it, because it's the first time that this is happening. It's the high point of when this is happening. So much stuff.
Just digging into what you said, like there's so many new possibilities here. Like, are the Jedi closely tied with the Republic still? Like, what's the relationship between the Jedi and the Senate 200 years beforehand?
Yeah,
are they still working for mission for the Senate?
Yeah,
this is so crazy.
Do you guys think they're do you think they're in the Coruscant temple? Like, do you think that's around yet?
It looked like it. I feel like it has to, because like, I mean, it doesn't really have to, but the Old Republic, even the ones that are already in Legends, like Coruscant has always been like the Jedi place. Yeah. So I feel like it is. Even in that teaser trailer, kind of hinted at that being the case.
Do you think we'll get the addressment of the Sith temple that's underneath it?
Not at all.
No, I think they're gonna go right over that.
Yeah, they're gonna like delete their browser history per se and be like, that never happened.
But I like that point, Evan, because what if we get, I don't even know if it would be flashbacks or how the timeline would work out, but like, what if that relationship wasn't or isn't there, and they had to convince the Republic, because we haven't seen the Jedi's full extent of power, that what if they had to convince the Republic that they're needed?
I think that could be the case, yes.
And that sets off a whole chain of events down to, where we are at the end of the Skywalker saga of the fall of the Jedi. And it just makes, I feel like it just can build up to that line in The Last Jedi that Luke says, when the camera moves into him on Octo and he's telling Rey about when he name dropped Sidious. Like, I feel like we're going to add so much context to like even further back, and it's going to make, I don't know. It's just very exciting.
Yeah, what you just said reminded me of like Captain America's Civil War. Like, maybe the Jedi are doing their own thing. They're wearing like different kind of robes. They're so free. It's the High Republic. But then the Senate and the Republic is like, you guys can't just be causing chaos wherever you want. You have to be tied to us. And maybe the Jedi are like, okay, yeah, we'll have to sign these accords per se, and team up with the Republic, even though it's not really what they want to do. It's not how they should be doing it. They should just be listening to the Force, like Qui-Gon wants. But maybe they get tied, yeah.
Do you think like such an accord issue could arise that would like divide some Jedi that could lead the ones opposing down the dark path for conflict?
Yes, and I would love to see some Force users become part of the Nile, or maybe one's exiled and becomes part of that group, and then maybe we have the 2 point of views opposing each other, and so we probably like sympathize with both in some way, which would be super interesting.
That's a great idea, Nathan Carson. Like, just thinking about that, seeing the Jedi like become disillusioned and then go into work with the Nile. It reminded me of like the Old Republic, when some of the Jedi lost their way, they became Dark Jedi, then they became Sith. So I can definitely see that happening. And speaking of that, one of the first things I tweeted about after this like press conference was, give me the first like love affair between the Nile and the Jedi. Like, that has to happen, right? Like the star-crossed lovers kind of thing. Like, because again, the Nile can't be all bad. Some of the Jedi could be like sympathize with one of the Nile. I mean, I love that kind of drama, that kind of dramatic tension. So
there was a lot of cool art they dropped, and I want to like, okay, so I got some art behind me at the moment.
Yeah, it looks great.
Yeah, I'll just like point out like specific, like first off, this the Trandoshan Jedi and stuff is super cool.
Crazy.
That is
that blade.
That is a black
saber.
It's not a dark saber, but it's a legit lightsaber that's black.
So cool.
That's awesome. My favorite though is this girl on the end here with the double blade emitter.
Yeah.
She just looks cool. She's got a Loth Wolf.
Do you think that going back to the black blade quick, do you think that's Kyber?
Like it's weird, like reverse lighting.
You're right. It doesn't necessarily have to be Kyber. It could be something else with that rock. I mean, there's so many different colors there. It's
Yeah.
like, where did all these colors go during our movies? Like, granted, like, of course, behind the scenes, like, oh, they didn't think of those colors, but like, man, like, did Ilum just run out of like purple crystal? Like, Ilum only had blue and green. Like, look at that, like, purple, white, cyan. Yeah, it looks really incredible.
And that's another point of how the Jedi are, because there's going to be this is their high point. What is their kind of,
Here's a double play.
What is their like carbon footprint almost? Like, what if they're trying to get all these materials and stuff? Like, what is their impact of like all those things? And, you always think of the Jedi of like, kind of peacefully going about planets and getting resources and stuff. Even in Fallen Order, you see Ilum as such a sacred place. But yeah, I'm just so curious to see all these different relationships with how the Jedi are going to treat everything.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. I mean, speaking of that, real quick, Ilum might not be the only place where they get kyber crystals. Maybe that's why there's so many different colors. It could go to somewhere else. Like, that would be wild. Like, let's go somewhere else.
And
to find kyber crystals.
Maybe this is too repetitive, but of course, the Nile could be after the same thing, or the Nile could be in control of those territories, and that could be some conflict.
Yeah, are we going to see the Nile use lightsabers? Is that going to happen? Because there was no concept art with that being the case. I feel like that has to be the case in order for there to be some kind of conflict. Or not necessarily. I mean, there's a lot of stormtroopers, and that created conflict for people, and there's droids, and they didn't have lightsaber either, but still, it's very fascinating.
There's like a lot of stories coming out.
Let's dig into that. Yeah,
Claudia Gray, October 2nd.
October. Yeah, for hers. And is that one's called like Into the Dark, right?
Into the Dark, and then Light of the Jedi comes out.
Charles Soule. That's August 20th.
August 25th. That's going to be the kickoff of Project Luminous and the High Republic era. So supposedly there'd be special celebration copies, which would be awesome.
Oh, I cannot wait. Yeah.
I'm definitely going to get one of those. It'd probably be like $60, but probably be super worth it. The cover, I'm sure, will be custom celebration edition. Super exciting. We'll all be running to the Del Rey booth.
I know, I'm thinking the same thing. We have to run to the Del Rey booth with
our wristband
just to get a book. I know. It's super
now Celebration this year has got to have a good publishing panel, right? Since it
has to.
Oh, sure.
No. I feel like every podcast episode we just mentioned the horrible publishing panel from last year.
There's going to be concept art. There will be huge Claudia tease. Claudia will have a huge role in the panel for sure. And also, I don't know, Kevin Scott's Marvel comic. I'm sure there'll be panels of that shown. I'm sure there'll be all sorts of stuff shown there.
Yeah, I feel like they'll reveal more than just like the 5 books that we got so far, because we got Light of the Jedi, Into the Dark. I forget what the other one called. The one that Justina Ireland is doing.
There's 3 confirmed coming out this year.
Mm-hmm.
Which is the middle-aged or middle grade book, the one you just mentioned. I can't remember what the name of it is.
Justina Ireland. I forget her name.
Yes,
I forget
that one's coming out.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's September.
I think it is September. Yeah.
So we get Charles Soule's Light of the Jedi in August. Then the book we just mentioned in September, and then Claudia Gray's in October.
I think it's called Trials of the Jedi.
Yeah, Trials of the Jedi, and then Into the Dark.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I think the comic and what's the other book? I can't remember.
Comic, and then it's the IDW comic. I think
it's just called the High Republic.
Yeah. So those are pending release date. I don't know.
Yeah, mostly assuming later this year too, fall.
Definitely,
all at the same time. So we're gonna be.
I bet holiday season probably.
Holiday season, yeah. Oh man, so much content.
It's a lot. So they said somebody said like they weren't going to, but I imagine the new films coming are going to stem from the era.
We could talk about that forever. That's crazy. Because I went to that website once. I forget who tweeted that out, but I went to the website to confirm that, and yeah, it says like these line of books and comics, etc., are not going to coincide with the pre-planned films and TV shows. And when it said pre-planned, I'm like, okay, does that include the 2022, 2024, and 2026 films?
Speaking of which, double down today. Disney confirmed those release dates again, or at least.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's
Yeah.
big. I didn't see that. Where was that?
I saw. Well, Star Wars stuff tweeted the link. I'm not sure what the source was directly from Disney though. It was just their PR release or something on release dates.
I would have to imagine their intention is like it's not going to connect with the literature that they're releasing, but it's going to be set like new stories in that era.
Yeah, you're just right. Look at the tweet.
That's
right
what I
now.
think too.
Yeah.
I think they're just kind of sidestepping, if anything.
Wait, say that again, Nathan. Sorry.
Like the different books that they announced that they're publishing, it's not going to connect story-wise with them, but I think the new films will have their own story, but set in that era.
Okay, yeah. I mean, yeah, that definitely makes a lot of sense, and that's what I think should happen. Because I think they still want to give the directors free reign to do whatever you want, but just like Rian Johnson and JJ had free reign to do whatever they want in a pre-established Skywalker saga, you can still have you can still create your own unique stories within a pre-existing, pre-worked on timeline.
I think I think like the feeling I'm getting from this, because they dropped that like 4-minute trailer of like this new era, which best book trailer I've ever seen.
Hey, I know, right? I got chills.
But it does give me like a cool vibe that like I feel like we'll not only like love this book stuff, but like when they get to the films, it's gonna be like in the essence of like your favorite series being adapted to film, except like it's all from the same group that like knows what they're doing on both sides of the spectrum. So it's like even more of a hype payoff once it comes.
Right. And I think they're working out the kind of relationship that they want between these mediums. And I think realistically right now, because this is all books and comics and stuff right now, this is a huge sell to the hardcore fans. And I think the more this becomes common knowledge between Star Wars fans, it's gonna kind of saturate more into the general fandom. And I think they're anticipating that they're anticipating us to kind of familiarize everybody with the general aspects of this new era, and then those will kind of be the points that they hit. And then if they do choose to do films in this, I feel like they're just kind of waiting for stuff to be more common knowledge, and it won't necessarily overlap with like beat by beat of what these books hit and character wise.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see how these books sell, because when Star Wars #1 came out back in 2014 or 15, that was like huge. It broke records. Like, and they talked about how they want to compare this to when the time between Return of the Jedi and the Phantom Menace, or like the Phantom Menace to the Force Awakens. That those gaps in the films where they just create new eras, they create new.
Yeah, they're revitalizing kind of, a main focus of things. Necessarily, it's not a slowdown by any means. It's kind of just like, hey, we're gonna do this now, and we're gonna focus on this, and by the time we get through this wave of stuff, we'll be on to a new wave of films. It's crazy to think about how we're kind of in a golden age of that stuff.
Yeah, we're at a great mix right now, because I think a lot of people are in this funk per se, of people not liking The Rise of Skywalker, which is fair. And then are they like cool with Disney's direction for Lucasfilm? I think they're giving you that chance now. Maybe you might not be a whole book of comics person, but you got to give this era a chance. And I think reading the High Republic books could give people a new, fresh perspective on the future of Disney. Because like while we're still going to get like our Obi-Wan Kenobi, Cassian Andor, Mando Season 2, stuff we've seen before. I know Mando's kind of new, but it's still set in the era that we know of. Yeah. Like we can still have that nostalgia content with a lot of brand new content. So it's a win-win, I think. We're in a great time right now.
Yeah, and it's super interesting. And I know we talked on last week's episode of how they're going to utilize Disney Plus moving forward. And now, honestly, I got, with the big shakeup this week, it's something to move into is the big Disney shakeup. New CEO, Bob Iger, he's gonna stay on as the executive board director until 2021 or whatever. But we have a new CEO, and it's going to be interesting to see how they maintain a relationship with Kathleen Kennedy and the Kevin Feige's of the world. I'm super curious to see how they determine, what's next. Because they're already probably so deep into the plans of the 2022 and 2024 releases that it's like,
are they? I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, I don't know. But I was thinking about Disney Plus today, and it's like it was very exciting when it launched, right? And I still think there's a bunch of potential for it. I haven't watched like anything on Disney Plus really besides the new Star Wars stuff.
You haven't watched the High School Musical TV show?
No, and it just I know. I just think that initially it was so exciting to have everything all in one place.
Mm-hmm.
But then, you have all these streaming services, the HBOs of the world and Amazons of the world coming out with all these shows. And I think the Disney Plus launch was a little slow. I think it was a little catch-up game that they played.
Interesting.
And now, of course, I'm excited for Mandalorian season 2 and everything that in Cassian and whatever else decides to hit Disney Plus specifically for Star Wars and all the Marvel shows, of course, coming out. I'm super curious to see how Disney Plus sustains this year because, of course, it had so many subscribers, and I don't know. Will it? And all these headlines you hear him talking about, that Star Wars is going to live on Disney Plus in a lot more ways than we think, and I don't know. What do you guys think about Disney Plus and Star Wars and kind of this whole Disney shakeup this week?
Well, for Disney Plus, I think they're going to be fine toward the end of the year because I think you got Falcon Winter Soldier in August, and that will carry you to Mandalorian season 2 in October, which will carry you to WandaVision in December. So I think they'll be fine in that period of time. I don't know what they're going to drop in between WandaVision to Loki. I know this is a Star Wars podcast, but we're talking Disney Plus. So it's interesting. I feel like their content, it's difficult. I feel like they gotta probably get faster with like dropping some of their new stuff they have. Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. Because you guys are talking about Falcon and Winter Soldier, that comes out in August. Like, what are they going to have between? Let's assume we have 12 episodes of the Clone Wars. That's going to end somewhere in April. But what's going to happen between April and August? That's a whole summer for a streaming service with no content. For a big streaming service, no big content. Now, in terms of Star Wars, and so that just seems interesting to me. So, like, that's like a lot of no content for Disney Plus,
right? And that's what I'm thinking about. It's like, of course, I don't want things to be rushed, but at a certain point, you feel I don't know why I keep talking about HBO, but HBO is so good, man.
HBO Outsider is fantastic.
Still need to watch it, but man, but just the way they get so many people, so many different series and people on board with their shows, and it's just I hope by next year at this time we're talking about Disney Plus in a way that we're we have like a better established cycle of the new things, because it does feel like a lull period right now in terms of, now that we're kind of taking a break from the movies for a couple of years. It's like, of course, we have all this Project Luminous stuff to sink our teeth into, but like, we're kind of starting to think like, hey, once Clone Wars is over, we're not going to get Mando for, 6 months or whatever it's going to be.
It's going to be a dry period.
I know that in May, Solo will be coming to Disney Plus, and that will round up all the movies until Rise. I don't know how long it's going to be before Rise of Skywalker comes to the service. I know, but
honestly, that's a good question. Shouldn't it be like immediately on digital on that day?
It really should. Avengers Endgame did that
because there's no rights thing to work out here. They didn't sign anything with Netflix. They didn't sign anything.
It's fully Disney, yeah.
So
they haven't said anything, but I wouldn't be surprised if they market that. Maybe they're trying to market the Blu-ray right now, and then they'll be like, "Oh yeah, it'll be on here on May 4th, my birthday." That'd be cool.
I think probably they'll drop Solo end of May, and then probably like end of June they'll drop Rise of Skywalker, if I were to guess, and then maybe like end of July we might get just to keep intrigue for Disney Plus, you'll get like a teaser for Mando season 2, maybe, because I don't think they'll wait all the way till.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. So TV trailers are different from movie trailers. TV trailers usually come out way closer to the release date because that's how viewers watch TV. And since it's coming out in October, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a Mando trailer somewhere in August, actually. Late July, maybe early August. I don't know.
Do you think it'll drop at Celebration?
Oh, it does. I said August Celebration. So yeah, most definitely.
Well, that's what I was thinking is like what they might do is like maybe a little before that Celebration they'd have a teaser, and at actual Celebration you might get the crowd episode 1.
Yeah, give me.
I still think you dropped the big trailer at Celebration. They botched that in April.
I don't think they did. It was too early. Way too early.
I know it was too early, but everyone was so mad. It was hilarious. Yeah. And then I hate the whole concept of like all the leaked clips being out there, and that's people's first reaction.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, it's hard to get in the middle of that. Yeah,
even if you just dropped a 15-second clip of I like those odds. You know, like they could have just cut to the cool logo that they had.
Cut to Baby Yoda.
Cut to
like,
but I think now
they never officially. I don't think Star Wars ever officially uploaded the Clone Wars trailer we got at the panel.
No, they never did.
They never did. It is in the.
It's so weird. Yeah,
that was such a good trailer too. I don't know why they didn't upload that.
I don't know, but at least like it is in the stream, so people can still access it somehow.
But
I mean, exclusive stuff is cool. I mean, that's especially good to incentivize people to actually go to the panel. But yeah, like if you're like marketing something like pretty big, like you should have something that you're going to release to the public, and you can still have extra stuff that you can show in private as well.
Yeah, but speaking about Star Wars content, going back to the beginning of the conversation, are we cool with like having Cassian Andor's post the film this year? So contrary to what I thought earlier last year, I thought it was gonna be Obi-Wan Kenobi, then Cassian, and then like Mando season 3 or something. But it turns out now that since Obi-Wan fell behind on production, it looks like Cassian could come out late 2021, and then Kenobi in 2022, maybe 2021, late 2021 at the earliest. But I assume it's going to come out in 2022. And we're just going to have one Star Wars show per year. Is that good for Star Wars? Like one Star Wars show per year? I guess they're happy with that. That's consistent content, but
I'm not mad about it.
It just seems odd to me. I thought we would get to the point where we get at least 2 a year.
Give me an animated show. Give me animated and live action.
Oh, Nathan, you're exactly right. I totally forgot again about the animated Rebels sequel. Yeah. I feel like that's definitely coming either later this year or early next year. Great point, dude. Yeah, I totally forgot about that. So yeah, you're right. We can have a combination of Rebels or an animated show and a live action show to sate the appetite for Disney Plus.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to Cassian for sure. I feel like me more than like anybody, I'm like a really big fan of Rogue One, but not in like the purest Star Wars way where you have to hate on the sequels. Like I just legitimately do it.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's like a fun time. I enjoy the characters. I enjoy Cassian and K2, so I'm excited to see them together. Flesh them out even more to make Rogue One even better.
Yeah, it's always good. I mean, I'm not the biggest Rogue One fan. It's like my third least favorite Star Wars movie. But I do like the character. I'm sorry, Nathan. I do like the character of Cassian. And in the novel, the Rogue One novel, he reveals he's a separatist. So I would love to get some discussion, some politics about Cassian being a separatist. Again, that ties into the Clone Wars with the whole
give me some Mon Mothma content.
That delicious Mon Mothma content. Yeah, we haven't seen her that much around. Hopefully we get Enfys Nest in there too. Maybe you never know.
And we talked about Fallen Order sequel hopes possibly, but also I would love to see her in a live action show.
Yeah.
Okay, now I gotta take it back. Do you guys think like you remember the deleted Revenge of the Sith stuff that had Mon Mothma and like the formation of rebellion stuff? Do you think they'll have some of that in Clone Wars?
Ooh, no. But I think it'll be cool. I think I would
too
love
much
that.
too fast. Yeah,
too
we
much,
have a lot to do. Yeah.
Give me a little.
I said that for Rise of
more.
Skywalker too. We have a lot to do. Oh yeah, look at that.
And that worked out perfectly. Yeah.
Well, I feel like you can
We
do
will
it.
hold the Sith dagger up to the Death Star, and we will measure.
Oh, there it is.
There. Oh, it's right there.
Exactly got it. This huge mile long.
No question about it.
Oh, poor Palpatine. Making everybody do directions how to get there.
Oh god.
Oh, man.
Oh man, but yeah. So I don't think that's happening. Again, there's so much content. Like we just flew by a 22 episode long for the Clone Wars that we just watched, and that was all like action and character moments. I don't know how much time we have. 10 episodes left. We haven't seen Ahsoka yet. We haven't seen Maul yet.
I feel like you could do it in like the sense because they have plenty of scenes where it's just like focusing on senators like Bail Organa. I mean,
Yeah,
they had a whole like arc that was specifically centric with Bail Organa and Jar Jar Binks.
You're not wrong.
You mean
You
the
could do one
classic
scene,
episodes?
like,
Yeah.
But also,
You're right, Nathan. You're right. You're right. I wouldn't be
there's a
surprised.
lot banking on this season in terms of like getting to finish this show and like wrap it up, you know. And I think we're gonna get those, you know, those main beats that we've talked about. I don't think we're gonna get too. Obviously, what you're talking about is still relevant, but I think if there's a lot more stuff that's like at the more threshold in Clone Wars and what it means. I don't know.
Well, for sure. I mean, obviously, like the big focus you're going to have is your main characters and dealing with the crumbling of the war, going from the Republic to the Empire. But I think with Rogue One in existence and how it's connected to the original trilogy and Bail Organa as my leading ship in this, like I feel like you could use him as the vessel to carry such a setup to like not like a full like whole plot thing, but like
I would love to see it in a finale. I'll say that if we have an hour finale, I would love to see a quick scene.
Like just like
I'd be surprised if he's not there
to the carry on. Yeah, because I mean he's in Revenge of the Sith. He's like moving Yoda around.
Yeah,
he's on the
Yoda's Uber.
Yoda's like I'm out of here.
I mean, he goes to the very, very end with taking Leia to Alderaan. Like,
honestly, sometimes I just think about Yoda and his little escape pod, like waiting for Bail to pick him up.
It's like, Bail, hurry up, please.
He just floated in space, just like.
Oh man.
Oh yeah, so like, I never like touched on it, but like since I had finally seen the Yoda final episodes, like it.
Oh.
I now like love the fact of why Yoda goes to Dagobah after his training with Qui-Gon.
Me too. Yeah, it's a very good character moment for Yoda.
Qui-Gon had said it was one of the most like purest planets with the Force, which I thought was really cool. There's so much cool canon stuff with Yoda on Dagobah.
There's so much cool canon stuff with Yoda, and also there's some frustrating stuff with Yoda in canon. Like
extremely frustrating.
Okay, you know what I'm talking about. Jedi Lost. Like
Jedi
Yoda's,
Lost.
Oh my God, Yoda!
God,
what are you doing?
I can't stand him.
Nathan, you gotta.
Spoiler, no spoiler alert, whatever. He supports slavery in a way, in terms of like,
literally.
I might be sugarcoating it a little bit, but
no, you're not sugarcoating it.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, because Qui-Gon wants to end this slavery thing going on, and Yoda's like, well, our hands are tied because we're the Republic. We need this trade route, so we can't interfere with the politics of another nation. And Qui-Gon's sitting here like, but it's unethical, and we're the Jedi. What is our
this
job?
Is from Master and Apprentice, right?
Oh, you're right. This is Master and Apprentice.
Yeah. Jedi Lost is like
Jedi Lost.
Dooku comes home with like that premonition, and then like the fucking planet thing happens, and like Yoda's like, "Oh, we're not gonna go, whatever." And then they end up going there, and Yoda's sitting there like doing the force field thing for like an hour. Well,
I remember that. Yeah,
crazy.
But yeah, in both books, Yoda is always like, "Our hands are tied. Like we can't do this." And in especially in the Clone Wars, when Ahsoka gets framed, they actually consider that she did it, especially like Ki-Adi Mundi, sorry, and Yoda and Mace, they're all like, oh, maybe she did do it. And then when it's revealed she didn't, they try and like cover it up by being like, "Oh, this was a great Jedi test for you." I'm like, "No,
Right.
We
no,
say
you guys
that now.
messed up."
That's such a flaw of the institution of the Jedi because they try to justify everything in a way that is like, oh, you got to think of it like this, so it makes sense to you, but it doesn't answer it.
Not at all. Not at all.
You know what I mean? Like, and that's like, it's like so much avoidance and like deferring like the point of like what somebody is saying to like, oh, but think about it like this, and maybe you'll consider another option. Like, that's not, And so by being so like unliteral with things, I think sometimes they get lost in their own.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's so fascinating. Because then going back to this ties into the High Republic again, in terms of like they're at their height of their power. And I've read a lot of people online who were kind of skeptical with the High Republic because one of the comments during the video was, I think it was Charles Soule, somebody said, "This is what the Jedi, or this is what we wanted to see from the Jedi. This is what we always wanted to see from the Jedi." And people have interpreted that line saying like, "Oh, the Jedi are going to be perfect warriors in this High Republic area. They're going to be the height of their power." But I don't think that's the case. I think they're still going to have a lot of flaws. You don't bring along Charles Soule and Claudia Gray to not show flawed characters.
Yeah, and I think there's going to be all sorts of. I think they're going to be in their high point, but their high point may be a mix of things that may be like. Maybe they aren't so institutionalized to the fact that they hear more like that all these the rules of the Jedi aren't so set in stone in terms of like they're more hear out case by case basis things. I think that might be something, and there may be more compromise in their kind of order, which would be interesting to see. Or maybe it's the complete opposite. Maybe it's more rigid. I don't know. Either way, it's going to be interesting to see like how that shifts from this. What did they call it? The what's the first thing in phase 1 going to be? The Great Disaster or the
Great Disaster.
Yeah.
And yeah, like you said, there's going to be tons of different kinds of Jedi. They compared it to like the Jedi being like Texas Rangers in a way. I think maybe I'm just saying that, but like these guys are going to be wild. They're going to be free, kind of like a lot of who's that one Jedi that can like touch things and see the past? He was kind of like open and free and all.
Cal Kestis.
No,
Cal Kestis.
What's his? That's in a book.
Man.
I swear.
Yeah, he's from Dark Disciple. He got Voss. There we go.
Tried it. Or not.
Quinlan?
Quinlan.
What's his name?
Quinlan
Voss. Quinlan Voss. Great book. Fantastic book.
Fantastic.
If you don't like Astajj Ventress as a character, read Dark Disciple. It will change your life.
What if that gets animated someday? That would be freaking incredible.
Oh my god. The whole the test of when she goes down and like or Quinlan goes down and like fights that I can't remember what it's called. There's so many good moments in that book.
Yeah.
I listened to the audiobook too.
And
incredible. It's who's the guy that does all the audiobook recordings? God, what's his name? But he's done a lot of, and he read Paul S. No, that's the author. I can't remember the guy's name, but he's I was like, Paul S. Kemp. That doesn't sound right.
No. But yeah, just like we could get a lot of Jedi like Quinlan who are very free, who are very open, like they're expanding the region. So this could be very fascinating to me. Also, real quick, like as a history major, it kind of reminds me of like the Old West, where the Americans had like that manifest destiny, like let's continue exploring, whatever.
And see, that's exactly where I think the conflict is going to come from. Is because people are going to be chilling in the outside, and they're going to be like,
why are you coming here? Like this is our land, this is our area. Like you can't just come on in here. And
everything was fine.
Everything was fine and force your idea. So then maybe they caused a disaster.
And then we have dinosaurs.
And dinosaurs, High Republic.
I love.
There was I wanted to talk. There was like a lot of stuff written on their whiteboards. One of the things that was like written down, underlined, they had was Gray Jedi, like specifically. Like, ooh, more Qui-Gons, please.
Exactly. I think people took that too literally. Like, oh, I don't want Gray Jedi. I don't think. You don't bring Pablo Hidalgo in the room and write down Gray Jedi.
Right. And Pablo would
Pablo would go off. But yeah, I think it just means a Jedi that's not necessarily by the book, in terms of by the book as in the prequel Jedi, like we just been talking about. Like they're not going to be pulled down by politics. They're going to do what they think the Force wills them to do.
And I think a lot of the tension and stuff from this era of Jedi is going to be, what is the book? You know, what
Great point.
is their,
Great point.
you know, what is their impact and what they want to pass down? Like, I think a lot of the High Republic stuff is going to be what they want their legacy to be now that they've reached a certain point.
Yeah, there was I
Great point.
love the they have like a lot of different stuff to write on the whiteboard. Some stuff here is like just like what they want from Star Wars. And they wrote down like the traditional stuff like space and lightsaber battles and droids. But like a lot of great stuff they got is like there's no single main character. A good focus with the Force, and like the fact that it's not pro-war was really interesting as one of the topics written down.
Yeah, that caused a lot of controversy.
Yeah,
and can we just say Star Wars has never been pro-war? If you think so,
trying to stop
like,
it, the guys trying to stop it.
I don't know. I just thought that people's reaction to that was kind of funny if they were against that line. On, of course we're gonna get the trolls that are like, "Oh, SJW Star Wars back at it again." Like, okay,
Like, no, get out of here.
yeah.
Yeah, listen to George Lucas and see what
George watch Return of the Jedi and come back and talk to us about war comparisons.
I thought it was pretty hilarious. One of the things they actually wrote down, somebody wrote "actual ending."
Oh, that was great.
Yeah.
Oof.
Oh, someone knows.
I don't think JJ was in that writer's room.
It wasn't in any writer's room, and that's part of the issue.
Oof. Too soon.
Too soon.
You
Just
think they
kidding. I love
invited
you, JJ.
Chris Terrio? I love JJ too. I was like watching Star Trek the other day.
Yeah, guys. Star Trek 2009 masterpiece. Mission Impossible 3 also masterpiece. I like Super 8.
The JJ Abrams podcast.
Yeah,
But
took all the things I know.
oh wow.
I like Into Darkness.
Yeah, it's a movie.
That's why I like it.
It's a movie.
Khan.
And they just look at him like, okay, who's that? But
He pauses and they're like,
they have no idea who Khan is. But the audience does. But yeah, I'm very excited for the High Republic. There's tons of different possibilities. It's so exciting. And even then, Nathan, you said like there's lightsaber battles. What lightsaber battles are they battling? There's no Sith. Are the Nile bringing in lightsabers? Like, so
they are.
And there could be smuggling them,
True. Yeah, they might not be as rare as they are in the prequel era.
I think they're definitely going to be more readily available. And maybe one of the things is like the Jedi can't like maybe they're on like a huge transport and like they can't get through the hyperspace lanes, and the Nile get a hold of a huge shipment of lightsabers because they were like, maybe it wasn't as personalized back then, or at least the whatever it was, the Kyber, the materials that I don't know. I think that'd be cool.
That's a great idea. But also, how long do you think it takes for the Sith to get involved? If the rule of two is still in place, are we going to get a comic series with just those two Sith? That would be dope. I would love that.
I want that.
I think phase 2, we're going to feel that effect. I don't know what or how it's going to like seep in, but I think after this great disaster or whatever, I don't think it's going to be Sith related. I think it's going to start the question the Jedi and stuff with the Nile and kind of like how, their impact is changing the Jedi. But then I think in phase 2, we get deeper and we get darker in terms of like, maybe there's a bigger picture of the dark side or whatnot.
I'd love that. How long do you guys think this High Republic thing is going to go for? Again, we've had Star Wars comics that are set in between episodes 4 and 5 for the past like 5 years. You can have like 50 issues of just a year in Star Wars time. We have 200 years now. So
they did recently start kicking off the new Star Wars comic era that takes place between 5 and 6.
You're right. Yeah. And that's like 5 years since Disney bought Lucasfilm, or since the first comic issue came out. So
yeah, and I think they just started their like 3rd Vader run.
I know, which is insane. So hopefully the last too.
I need to read them. Like
I need to read
them too.
Star Wars
I'm
comics.
So behind.
The comics is the one area that I'm just absolutely behind on.
Mm-hmm.
Get
I
it.
want to I want to read Dr. Afro because I know a lot of you guys love Dr. Afro.
Yes, she's the best.
I've read the first issue of the Rise of Kylo Ren or the Fall
This
of Ben Solo,
since
whatever
Clone
it's
Wars
called.
is going, since Clone Wars is going, I need to actually like I bought it. I need to read Son of Dathomir.
Oh, I've been
I've
reading
read
that
an issue
too.
of that.
It's so good.
Remember, I was sending those frames in our group chat.
Yeah, I
Just
bought
like
the whole. I think
because
I got
we
the whole
were
collection for like.
we talking
Yeah.
about like a Maul versus Grievous thing. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, was that in there?
Oh no, this is Dathomir. That's I'm sorry, I'm thinking of because there's 2 Maul comics, right? There's one.
Yeah,
don't
there's
know.
2 Maul comics. There's the one that's a
Yeah.
5-issue Darth Maul series, and there's also
Yes.
the Age of Republic Darth
Oh,
Maul
okay.
issue.
Okay.
But yeah, this in the Dathomir comic, he's like being interrogated by like Dooku and stuff like that. So
God, I love
Essential
Dathomir
Reads.
stuff.
Me too.
Essential Reads the 3PO comic.
that's a no from me, dog.
I know. I like it. It's sweet.
Yeah, I
like
hope we get.
Anthony Daniels reads it.
God, I love the character that's on Dathomir in Fallen Order. You know,
Me too.
completely
What is your-
disillusioned from the Order and what the Jedi.
What'd you say,
you know.
Nathan?
Was her name Mara? I think.
Mara.
Oh, I
Maybe.
don't know.
2 weeks in a row, we don't know her name. Good job. Brian.
Well,
Literally,
we're gonna fix that now.
Great research.
top
You know, we
episode 10. Oh, we're gonna be episode 10 next time.
That's
I
crazy.
think
Yep. You know, with a
How
couple
does-
lost episodes in there.
couple lost missions.
lost missions.
How does this episode 9 compare to the films?
I think we're killing it.
I hope it has a ending that works.
Too soon.
Oh yeah, her name's Marin.
Marin.
Yeah. Hopefully she has a lot of stuff to do in in the sequel game.
Yeah,
Make
I was just
side characters playable.
yes.
Oh,
That
wow.
would be an awesome feature in Fallen Order.
we didn't mention
that
that
could-
last week. That's a great addition.
Good
Yeah,
job,
I mean,
Nathan.
like doing some Night Sister magic would be fun.
That'd be
Oh,
super fun.
Yeah, and imagine having different skill trees for different characters.
Holy
Boom.
crap. That's like
Call
a lot
me-
of data.
Call me.
Imagine like
God.
a free play style where like you need to access like unlockable areas for collectibles, but you need a certain character.
certain character.
Kind of like Lego Star Wars does that, where it's like
Exactly. Exactly.
turn
Speaking
into
of Lego
R2-D2.
Star Wars,
Oh,
when
is that?
when
game
is
coming
that
out?
coming out? That's got to
Yeah.
drop before Celebration.
You
Or am I-
are right, Carson. You know, I totally forgot about that game. I'm so
Or is that
focused.
going to come out? Would they wait all the way till like
No.
holiday?
No way. It said summer 2020.
I
Summer
would say
2020.
May 4th. May 4th is coming out. I'm
That would be
calling
a great birthday present. I mean, even though technically summer in the U.S. is like.
it. And we finally
May
get to
22nd.
play Last Jedi and Lego, guys.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that's gonna be dope. I'm gonna love that.
and
Imagine
Rise-
throne room scene in Lego.
Oh man,
They
that'd be
have
crazy.
to do a funny gag with the thigh grab. They have
They
to.
have to. They have
I'm-
to. I mean, there's so many great funny moments they could do with like Kylo saying "Join me"
And Snoke in
oh,
half and stuff. Imagine
Oh,
Lego
yes.
Snoke in half. Like, come on, that's ripe with comedy.
my only goal is I'm going to beat Rise of Skywalker. I'm going to go back on free play and I'm going to defeat the Emperor's Ben Solo. That's my only
oh,
Except
yeah.
you're gonna be at the bottom of the cliff and you're not gonna be able
No.
to get up.
free play.
You're gonna spawn and you're gonna be at the bottom of the
Great
cliff,
epic.
and your little character's gonna try to like jump, and you're just gonna get like 2 feet and just.
It says press X to jump to save Ray. Oh my gosh.
You have like a whole part of the mission. It's like you got to scale the wall back. Like,
Oh,
then you just hear the dialogue going. It's like, oh, I'm missing it. Like, oh,
Ben's climbing, and all you hear is like, "I am all the Jedi." It's like, wait, what?
wait,
What's happening?
He slips down the wall. Ah!
I totally forgot about that game. I've been so focused on The Last of Us Part 2. That's like my most anticipated game ever.
I should
And
play
then
The
I
Last of Us.
totally, son of a gun.
I want to add a. I want them to add a gag where Ben is climbing the cliff, and he like looks over, and it's Indiana Jones reaching for the Holy Grail. It's like,
That'd be pretty funny. There's so many jokes they can do with the Rise of Skywalker and the Last Jedi. And also, I mean, like I'm not just picking on the Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
There's so many jokes they could do for all the movies.
Oh my god! Imagine Justin Thoreau in Lego.
Oh, that'd be too funny.
The master code breaker.
Oh no, yeah, I would love that stuff. There's so many great moments. The whole Holdo maneuver in Lego.
Oh my God. Imagine the shards of light in Lego.
That's gonna be incredible. I cannot wait for that game. That game's gonna be sick. 2020.
Crazy. I need it. Like they need to drop another trailer.
Oh, there wasn't, I can't remember if this article was this week, but correct me, or I think it was last week, but there was confirming the Fallen Order. I mean, we talked about confirming the Fallen Order sequel, and then there was another small scale game in development at, I don't know if it was EA or it was another studio.
And then EA, yeah.
And then there was one like canceled project, which was just interesting, you know.
I remember that open world they canceled.
Oh, don't even get me started.
It feels like they canceled a lot of like ideas, and it says canceled from that one article from that one guy. I don't know how far it means in terms of, they could have just had an idea and the guy just shut it down.
It could have been an idea phase, but
like Bob could have just said something like, I don't think so. And then it canceled video game.
I think they learned from Fallen Order in terms of like
exactly
what people want. Like Fallen Order did bonkers sales.
People were complaining about the whole canceled article thing, but I'm like, guys, we got Fallen Order. They're making a Fallen Order 2. They're on the right track now. So I don't fully trust EA. I'm not an idiot.
Oh, but it's like we're gonna get our open world eventually. Like I'm not stressing. Like,
I hope so. Maybe not. As I say, I'm like, I don't think that's gonna happen anytime soon, but I hope so.
Are you, like, there's gonna be like a Breath of the Wild of like Star Wars. You know, there has to be, if like you can go on your own adventure, going around planets. Like it's too ripe not to happen.
People have been saying that for decades.
I know, but we have the techno. Imagine you launch it with
the technology.
We have it. No, think about it. Imagine how great it would be to launch on PlayStation 5 an open world Star Wars game. Like obviously, it won't happen this year, but like,
oh, dude,
a couple of years in the future, PlayStation 5 open world Star Wars game. I'm calling it.
That would break records.
It would
if it's good. But again, if it's by EA. They haven't had a knack for.
Okay, do we know the context of that deal? When does it expire, or is it like?
I don't think it's. Again, I am a gamer, but I'm not huge into the gaming news. I don't know how long it's going to take to expire. I don't think it's expiring anytime soon. I think Bob Iger had that one earnings call just last year when they're like they like their deal with EA. They like what's going on.
Yeah, and the issue is every game has made bonkers money.
Yep, like even Fallen Order, which I'm excited about.
Yeah, good for Fallen Order, but both Battlefronts made
so much money because the marketing campaigns were great. Minus the loot box situation.
Yeah,
but even then,
have any of us played the? There was a new version of Battlefront 2 or whatever with the.
Not at all. I haven't touched that game in.
I don't know. Yeah,
I saw a clip of an Ewok killing Palpatine, and it was
me too. Pretty funny stuff.
But it's like, is it like $20 to get like an upgraded version?
It's all free.
I keep seeing all these updates.
If you have the game, at least. If you have,
I have the game.
Yeah, it's all free.
I'm down to play again.
It just takes a lot of time to download.
Yeah, I had to re-download the game because
Me too. I deleted that thing a long time ago.
I had to make room for Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, Last of Us, Uncharted. Yeah. But yeah, real quick, I don't think we talked too deep enough about the Bob Chapek stuff going on with Lucasfilm. I just want to say I don't feel like the Star Wars films are going to be impacted that deeply.
Right.
I just
no,
feel like...
I don't think so either. I think, especially given Bob Iger's relationship with Kathleen Kennedy, and him staying on the board, and obviously, a lot of decisions are still going to be brought up to Bob Iger, like because it's a transition. It's obviously not like Bob Iger's like cut out of the conversation, and I think a lot of people are kind of jumping the gun in terms of like, oh, theme park guy is taking over, and everything's going to go. Obviously, I kind of read up on some of the things that this are decisions that this new has done to the theme park, or presumably, which is kind of he seems like a cost cutter in a lot of ways, which is kind of scary. But obviously, theme parks are very different than movies, and obviously, Lucasfilm is still coming to like Disney and the board of Disney and kind of pitching these things, and so I don't think they don't have any reason to have a lack of confidence in that right now.
Agreed. I think Rise of Skywalker is over. Kathleen Kennedy is also leaving at the end of 2021, similar to Iger.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not confirmed yet, but her contract
probably
ends
will. Yeah,
at the end of 2021. It'll be nice to walk out the doors of Disney with Bob Iger in tow. Maybe before the end of the year, maybe before the end of next year, obviously, we'll learn who the next person in charge of Lucasfilm is going to be. But I think, same with Kathleen Kennedy, I think she really wants to, similar to how Bob Iger left only after he geared the ship towards Disney Plus, I think Kathleen Kennedy wants to gear the ship towards the next 3 movies that we mentioned earlier.
yeah, and that's
once she
gonna
gets
be
those
her
films, her swan song. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Once she gets those
Yep.
films set, once they get like the directors set, I think then she'll be like, okay, we're good. We have this timeline. I'm gonna peace out.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then
Right. And it's not as ambitious as a huge slate. It's like, hey, this is our initial vision for giving, XYZ creators a chance at Star Wars or whatever it's gonna be in, new territory. Because it's really, these movies realistically are probably gonna be new territory for Star Wars in whatever regard. Because we've had spin-offs, yes. But now that we've reached the end of this 9-film arc, it's like these films automatically have the connotation of something different,
yeah.
Yep.
Totally. Yeah, they're all new. I don't see Bob Chapek being like, oh, we're gonna cancel these new projects because I'm in charge now. So no. But what I am curious about is the stuff that's already been in the works, like the Ryan Johnson specifically. I think Feige's thing is going to happen. Disney loves Feige. But Ryan Johnson specifically, I'm curious to see where his movie or movies go.
I don't think he has a trilogy anymore.
Agreed. Yeah.
I think they gave him one more film.
They should. Just give him one more film. Just give him one, please. Please.
I think they'd be as polarizing as The Last Jedi was. It was one of the most profitable movies. It was the most profitable movie of that year.
It definitely was.
Everybody that's worked with Ryan absolutely loves him. There we go. He went on to make Knives Out, made a bonkers amount of money for original film. I think he's one of Hollywood's most wanted, and I don't think passing him up based on his, Ryan always wanted to come back. Obviously not right back to back, but of course he wants to come back to Star Wars.
Yeah. I'm just so curious. I think he had a great relationship with Kathleen Kennedy. I don't know what his relationship with Iger was, but Iger likes money, and Last Jedi made a lot of money. It was great in terms of Blu-ray sales and great in terms of theatrical sales as well. So I don't know if Bob Chapek is going to gel well with Ryan, or if he's just going to be like, okay, that was a thing of the past. Let's move on. It's definitely, both options are possible. Again,
and
I think Star Wars needs Ryan more than Ryan needs Star Wars at this point.
Exactly. And I'm fine with The Last Jedi being Kathleen Kennedy's swan song. I'll just mention.
Oh, yes.
So it's a whatever it is, I'll be fine with it.
Yep. Same.
A beautiful point to probably end on.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Good recording. I feel like Star Wars is heading in the most excellent future moving forward. I think we're going to have a fantastic time. New stories, returning character stories, all the like. There's going to be something for everybody. With that being said, I think everything was great, what we talked about. Hope you guys all had a great time watching. Just let you guys know, you can follow us on various social medias. Carson, where can the good people find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter at The Force Critic, talking about all things Project Luminous, Star Wars, movies, all sorts of stuff entertainment-wise. But yeah, excited to kind of get this podcast back into gear in 2020. We'll be back next week with Clone Wars again, and I'm sure there'll be more Star Wars news to drop because, Star Wars loves their news Fridays, so we'll see what this Friday brings.
All right, and Evan, where can they find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at HarrisEV9. Again, talking all things Star Wars. there's a lot of great movies coming out too. I just saw The Invisible Man just earlier tonight. Tomorrow I'm going to go see the My Hero Academia movie, and then next week there's tons of stuff too. So yeah, I'm always tweeting about movies and Star Wars. There's a lot of stuff coming out these days.
All right, and as always, you can follow me on various social medias in the link in the description below. That being said, it was a great time with the crew. We got to properly lock down a day we can do this each week.
Definitely.
Maybe Fridays now. It seems like a good day since Clone Wars drops the same day. It seems pretty fluent, but we'll try to work out best we can. But with that being said, guys, hope you enjoyed what we talked about. If you did, you can hit the like button, subscribe if you're not already. And with that being said, hope you have a great day. May the Force be with you always.